Oh, hey there, amazing business owners. It's been a little while since I've done a Facebook Live, so I thought I would jump in and answer a question that's actually come through from one of the Facebook community. So I'm just going to double check that I have actually gone live because I've had to connect a lot of the connections for this stream. It does say that I have gone live. Let's see if you can actually hear me though. Connections. Yep, beautiful. Okay, so I'm being heard as well. So I've had a question come in from the community, and the question is, let me just pop it up on the screen for you. What do you do when someone in your business network expresses distressing political views? And we'd probably all experienced some of this over the last little while with the federal election that has happened. And they are a strong part of your community. So you can't avoid them and you can't give up your entire, and what it says is network. How do you deal with this? So first of all, thank you so much for sending in this question. I love it. And if you are watching this along with me, or you're watching the replay, please feel free to send me questions. You can DM them to me and I'm more than happy to do like anonymous answers. But I love answering questions. It's one of my most favorite things to do. So please do it. I will also just open up to make sure I haven't got any comments coming through. So what I'm going to do, I'm first going to acknowledge this is actually a really complex kind of situation that some of us might find ourselves in if we are in business networks or any kind of business groupings that we're in. We can find ourselves in these kinds of situations where people are sharing things that are quite distressing to us or go against our own value systems in terms of political views. And so in saying that it is quite complex, this isn't this is what you do in your particular situation. This is more of a general, these are some of the things that you can do, but you need to consider the context of the situation you're in and all the different nuances in it. So this isn't just like apply this to your business if this is what you're experiencing. If you're experiencing someone who's got differing political views and you're feeling uncomfortable around it, this is just like, generally, these are some of the things you can look at doing. However, you need to make sure it is in alignment with your actual current context of what's going on with you. So to begin with, this is something I'm going to say first before you do anything, is to anchor back into your own values. So as business owners, we have a certain amount, we've got certain values that are really, really strong and really prioritized in our business. And so when we're looking at these kinds of situations, it's really good to anchor back into what those values are. So are your values around inclusion? Are they around compassion and kindness? Are they around justice? Are they around social equity? What are your business values? Because these can help you really ground in and feel strong and confident in the actions that you're taking. When we sometimes have our values, like they always exist in our business, but they're kind of just floating around a bit, it can feel a lot harder to take action or feel confident when we're doing something. So really grounding back in and anchoring your values. What are your business values? What do you stand for? That's the very first thing I would do. And then I would also encourage you to ask these line of questions that I'm going to present now before you do anything. So this is like the prep work that you do before you actually take any action. So the first thing you're going to ask is, who is being harmed or made unsafe by these views that are being expressed? So it's really important to define, okay, is it me that is not feeling safe? Is it a community I'm part of? Or is it a community that I'm not part of, however, I am an ally for that other community? Really looking at who is actually being harmed or made unsafe with those particular views that are being expressed. The next question to ask yourself is, let's show this one. Not that one, it is this one here. The next question to ask yourself is, what am I modeling or normalizing by staying silent? Because at the end of the day, you're either participating in something or you're not participating in something. So silence is a form of participation. And I know that can be really hard for people to grapple with, really, because it's like, oh, I don't want to say anything, I don't want to be part of it, so I'm just going to stay silent. However, if you do remain silent, silence is a form of complicity. I got there in the end. And so you're basically saying, I agree with you, or I'm not that bothered by what you're saying, and so we can allow it to go through without actually going, no, that's not okay, we can't do that. So silence is a social way of accepting what people have done or not done. So ask yourself, what am I modeling or normalizing if I stay silent? Okay, next question to ask yourself is, how can I protect my peace without abandoning my values? So this is a really important question because it is, if you look at it from the basic level, how it is already existing, your peace is already being disrupted, right? Because you wouldn't have sent this question in if it was not already being disrupted. So this is also a question about protecting your peace and making sure people who have these really harmful views or thoughts are not continuing to impede on your peace. And so asking, how do you actually do things to protect that peace? The next question you can ask yourself is, who am I protecting with my silence? Because as I said before, that silence is saying yes to something. Silence is a participation of something. So if you are staying silent, is it you that you are protecting, or is it that person who is speaking that you're protecting? It's really good to just go, okay, so if I take some kind of action, and silence is an action, if I'm silent, who will I be protecting in this? Which brings me on to this next part that I want to talk about, and it's safety versus comfort. So it's really good to define whether a situation that you're in is safe or it's just making you feel a little bit uncomfortable. So if it's actually a threat to your own safety in some form, there are certain ways that you do it to ensure your safety or to increase the level of your safety. And then on the flip side of it, there is a comfort level where if it's uncomfortable, you can take different actions based on that. So it's really good to define in your situation, if you're in a business network and people are presenting views that are opposing to you, and to your belief systems and are causing harm to marginalized communities, is it safe for you to participate or safe for you to say something? Or is it just a matter of it's uncomfortable and therefore you can take other kinds of actions in that? So really getting clear on the safety for you, or whether it's just an uncomfortable thing. So one thing I would say, if it is safe for you to go ahead with this, is to be really transparent. You can say to them, look, I understand that you have got your opinions. However, I disagree with those opinions, and they are conflicting with my own value system. So you can just tell them, because quite often people do something and continue to do something because no one says anything to them. And had a person said something to them, they would have stopped their behavior. They would not have said that anymore, because we are social beings, right? We love being in community and we love belonging. And when our behavior or things we say are seemingly against what our community believes to be acceptable, it does something to us. We want to belong, we want to be accepted. So something it can do is it can get them to reflect a little bit on their views, what they've been saying, how they've been showing up, but also give them an understanding that not everyone thinks the way that they think, and that there are other viewpoints and worldviews on different political opinions. So being transparent is always my very first thing to go to. And I don't know about you, but I love it when someone is really open with me. So I know exactly where I stand with them. I know what I've said to them and how that sits with them. I appreciate that kind of truthful transparency, because then I'm not shocked if I hear something, someone said something about something I've done, or someone said something about me or the way I work or whatever it is. So I always, always, always encourage transparency all the time, actually. And it's good for good ethical business as well to follow being transparent. Okay, the next thing you can do is you can review your group guidelines. So if you have an actual structured business network and there are set guidelines in that particular group, if there's like a constitution, please review them, because you might find that there are rules or guidelines or set things in those constitutions that say, you can't be talking about these political things, or if anything is causing harm, we need to, some kind of thing, some kind of action to make that stop. Check out those guidelines first, because what we also want to do is make sure you have like a safety net for yourself to go, well, actually, I'm bringing this up because it's part of our community guidelines or community rules, and you're the one in breach of those. I'm just bringing it up because, one, it's going definitely against my value system, and I signed up to this network or this community group, business group, because of the set values and rules that were in place when I joined. So you can go back to those for a little bit of a backup, and to say, oh, you know what, this is not okay. This guideline is doing this, and I joined because of these guidelines, and I don't appreciate them being breached. So you can do something like that. The next thing that you can do is also really set clear boundaries. Now, a lot of the time people believe that boundary setting is about changing the behavior of the other person. It's not. It can change the behavior of the other person, but really what boundary setting is about is changing your own behavior based on what they choose to do next. So you can set a really clear boundary of saying, look, I don't appreciate or agree with you. Appreciate what you're saying. I don't agree with you, and it goes against my value system. So if you continue having this kind of political opinion openly in this space and speaking about it openly in this space, I'm going to, so it might be like, I'm not going to engage with you anymore, or I'm not going to do this or that. So it's about what you are going to do if they continue to participate or continue displaying that particular behavior. So setting them really clearly for them, so they know, if you do this, this is what I'm going to do. And make sure you're really firm on that if they do continue doing it, you actually do follow through on that boundary, and you do what you say you were going to do. The next thing you can do, and this is one that is if you feel unsafe, okay? And this is also if you feel uncomfortable as well. We don't all do allyship in the same way. So sometimes there are other options rather than face-to-face confrontation. There are other ways that you can do it as well. So using non-confrontational influence. So this is stuff like, if you have a chairperson or a facilitator of that group or a group leader, you can go to them and talk about this issue, and they may have certain types of powers or authority to help manage that and make sure it doesn't happen again, or mitigate it in some way. So they can be there to support you if you're not comfortable doing face-to-face confrontation stuff. This is one that can be good if there are actually set guidelines to your group and someone is a leader in that space. So using this can be really helpful. Also, non-confrontational influence also includes influence within the group and outside of the group as well. So if this person is talking about these political views that are very offensive to your value system, what you can do in that group is you can talk about and reinforce certain values that you have with dialogues that you have in that community group. So you're not necessarily talking to that person about the stuff they're saying. What you're doing is you're talking about the things that are important and matter to you that are in opposition to what that person is saying. So it doesn't necessarily need to be like, well, what this person said, I believe this opposite thing. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is more having conversations around your value systems within your networks, within your business network or community group. So it could be something like, okay, well, I would really like to, this month, I'm really going to focus on inclusion in my business, and these are some of the things that I'm doing. Or you can ask questions about, okay, what kind of equitable things are you doing in your business? Here are some things that I'm implementing. Here are some things that I would like to implement maybe in the future. And that really helps to, one, build awareness around those values, about being inclusive of marginalized people, about being equitable, having social justice, and being and just having justice as a value in your business, all those kinds of things. So it really helps your business network expand their awareness around those particular things, but it also says your values are over here. And then it's also very evident that their values are very, very different to yours. So you can do it in that kind of way to really go, well, that's not my values. These are my values. This is what I'm doing. Okay. Another thing that you can do in that network that you're in is you can find or create safer subspaces. So if you have a network, sometimes you can create a sub-network within there. So there might be a group of people in there who are really quite offended by what this person is saying. And it may even be to the point where they no longer want to be in the network with that person. They no longer want to refer people to that person anymore, all those kinds of things. So you can have like a group of people within your network that you do communicate with and you participate with, which does not include that person anymore. Because a few reasons. One, they're absolutely not aligned with you and your values. Number two, are you willing to send people to a person who has those kinds of beliefs? So there's some things you can ask yourself with that, and you might have to maybe give up some of your network, but it doesn't necessarily mean you have to give up the whole network. It might just be a few people, and this is an extreme case. I'm talking about like if it continues on and the behavior doesn't change, then maybe this is an option for you as well. That is in terms of my recommendations of all the different types of things you can do. This is something I hope has been helpful to be able to sort out this particular situation. Whatever resonates with you, that's the thing to do. You don't have to take everything on board. So take what works, take what resonates, and leave the rest. However, I do want to really, say again, it's very important that you understand how complex it is and that you are inputting the context of what you're experiencing and the nuances of what you're experiencing into my advice, and not just taking it as we do this, 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 and this. It is very complex. And so if there are situations like this, I would suggest getting in contact with me and we can actually work through it together. So that is my overall general advice. I want to thank you so much for sending that question in. It was so juicy. There are so many multiple layers to it, but also there are so many of us business owners who are experiencing or have experienced situations like this, where there are people who are presenting values or opinions or political views that are absolutely opposed to our own, and it can make it very awkward, very uncomfortable, and sometimes unsafe for us to be in those networks anymore. So thank you so much for sending in that question. And also, if you're watching this, please feel free to send in your own questions. As I said at the start of this live, I love, love, love answering questions. So please send them in. I'm more than happy to answer them. You can DM them to me. I'm happy to do it anonymously if you would like me to do that. And I hope you have a fantastic day. I hope you found some value in this video, and I'm sending you so much love, and bye for now.